What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 18, as this is kind of the regular season recap video here. At the end of year 3, well, this is really year 1 of the series. Anywho, but I had to, somewhat sim a little bit for it, but like I said, you don't really need to pay attention to this, at all. We're not. You don't need to. But, it was a good regular season. I'm proud of what we did as a team. Ben Colvin, had a good season, and when he had good games, and when he was involved, not just having good games, but when he was involved, like decently involved in the games, I mean, we won a good amount of those football games, to be frank. In the games that, a lot of games where he barely touched the football, a lot of them we lost. You guys see some of the carries. I mean, when you had 11 or less, a lot of those games we lost. No, but he also had games where we had 11 or more and we won. But if we just do 10 or less, I think we lost. I think we lost 4 of those games. So when we don't really run the football or even at least try to stick with it, that's when we've had problems, But I think we've gotten better with that as time has gone on. But like I said, there was a lot of Pro Bowlers on this team. No running back made the Pro Bowl. Matthew Foster and Denzel Mims did. Matthew Foster, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Everything for him went up outside of yards per catch. But everything went up. He had an excellent year. He was fantastic. He was fantastic. He was big time. You gotta get credit where credit is due. For him. And these are just some of the numbers, man. But I want to take some time to ask you guys. College Football 26 is already out. By the time I'm already recording this video, would you guys like to see a dynasty mode, or in the meantime, I think I have college football around here somewhere, college football 25, which from what I can tell seems like a much better football game. And unfortunately, we just heard that EA Sports just got the license renewed to make simulation football games exclusively for the NFL. And as you guys see, Will Shelby made the Pro Bowl for the 2nd consecutive year in a row. But about the EA Sports thing, that news sucks because we got to deal with that stuff for another however long it is. I don't know why we renewed the contract. I thought, but whatever. But would you guys like to see that? Let me know down below. But I also play 2K. I also play Call of Duty. Would you guys like to see those as series as well? Let me know. Secondly, let's get back to the gameplay, because this is gonna be about an 18-minute video. Actually, over that. Now you guys see Quentin Williams made the Pro Bowl. I'm very happy we paid him. You guys see the contract. It's not gonna get above 15 mil, but I mean, he's only a one-time Pro Bowler, right? He was huge. He was big time. He was massive this year. Tackles a career high, tackles for loss a career high, sacks career high. He came into his own this year. Now how long is this team gonna stay together? I have no idea. No clue. Jonathan Allen, he made the Pro Bowl this year, along with Rashawn Gary, Owen Sullivan did not. But if you guys already saw the last episode 17, in the beginning of the game, before the game even started, I introduced the guys who made the Pro Bowl, because Madden doesn't do that, in real life, in last week of the season, they highlight all the Pro Bowlers. They highlight all of them. They don't do that in Madden, which sucks, And by the way, just a quick question. Don't you guys realize that you go look back at all the older games, the detail in certain aspects just has depleted over time? You know what I mean? But Travarius Ward, he had a good year with the time that he was on the field with. He only played 9 games this year, and I mean, if we can recall all the games, he was big time in the games that we were when he was on the field. And also, I would say this: our pass defense was much better when he was on the field than when he was off. So that definitely is something that we need to keep in mind no matter how this playoff run goes for us. Now, our special teams unit, we had some Pro Bowlers on that team. Braden Mann and Tyler Taylor both made Pro Bowls, and this definitely, for Braden Mann, helps his case in terms of getting a contract extension. Him not being a Pro Bowl punter helps him out. Just like in real life, it would help him out in those situations. Now we'll take a look at the Pro Bowlers around the league. And I will just mainly go over the NFC guys. I already went over the guys in the AFC that made the Pro Bowl. For quarterbacks, it is Owen Phillips, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. Those 3 guys are your Pro Bowl quarterbacks in the AFC. And this for Patrick Mahomes, this is Pro Bowl number 6. And in my opinion, most likely he's going to win the MVP, which would be his 3rd. He's already an all-time great, Aaron Rodgers made the Pro Bowl in the NFC. I think the Pro Bowlers in the NFC were Teddy Bridgewater, Marcus Mariota, and Aaron Rodgers. As I said, Joe Burrow made the Pro Bowl. This was his first. This was his first selection. Shout out to Joe Burrow. Who, by the way, in real life, I think as a Ravens fan, I would put him over. I would put Lamar over him. But if you want to put Joe ahead of Lamar, I'm not gonna argue. I love watching Joe play. Kyle Allen. If a person that could be a Pro Bowl alternate if they had that in the game, it would be this guy. I mean, this guy had an excellent year. He's not even 30 years old yet. I think, in my opinion, he deserves to have another chance to be a starter for a playoff caliber team. He was big time. You know what I mean? Josh Allen, not really the greatest of years for him. Now, the running backs, if I were to guess the Pro Bowlers, Saquon and Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders are the guys in the end. Actually, I don't even know. I don't even know if I went over this. I actually recorded this last week or so. So I have no idea. I do somewhat remember this video, but and that's also something I want to talk about. So I'm actually I'm still in school. I'm still taking classes, and I should get better as time moves on. Maybe if I'm somehow making money from this, maybe we can do a lot more of a full-time upload schedule. We can just boom, put videos out there, constantly. And but next season, no matter how this season unfolds, I hope will be more frequent, and just more stuff will be out. Now, I might actually end up putting out all the episodes going into the playoff game up on YouTube, because right now, as it stands right now, from the time you're seeing this, episode 14 should be out. It should be out. But when I'm recording this, 15, 16, 17 are not out. Devontae Adams is going to his 5th Pro Bowl of his career. Carlos Colbert actually ended up making the Pro Bowl. He was undrafted. And he had an exceptional year. for the Patriots. He was in New England, and then he was with the Arizona Cardinals. He was undrafted, and now he's turned himself into a big-time receiver. Shout out to Carlos Colbert. But oh yeah, by the way, Justin Jefferson, he's going to the Pro Bowl for the third time in his career. You know, it still seems like to me he is still one of the best receivers in football, even in this game. So that's what I just was trying to say, that, you know, you're going to see these videos a lot more frequent, you know, and also I should be working soon. So I don't know how much time, but, you know, there might be situations where I might record videos ahead of time, you know. There might be some of those type of situations. So we'll see what happens. You know, but this is just the overlooking of the stats here. You know, kind of just checking out to see who made the Pro Bowl, who didn't make the Pro Bowl. Kenneth Murray did, second time, 4 years. CJ Mosley did not, surprisingly. Now, Myles Garrett, he made his 4th Pro Bowl. Let's talk about this. You know, I had to edit some stuff. Myles Garrett broke the sack record in week 15. In 14 games, he got over 22.5 sacks. He broke Michael Strahan's record. He broke it. Unbelievable year. You know, but let's just take a look at some of these numbers. You know, and Cincy, I mean, they had a great running game. You know, the Bills actually had the 10th best running game in football. You know, that's just how it is. You know, but you know, we actually had a decent scoring offense this year. You know, but I think that was kind of propped up from later on in the season. You know. Now, you guys see the first downs, we were up there, and the Bills were up there. The Bills actually had the most rushing touchdowns in all of football. You know, now, if you were to ask me, McKinley, or, you know, or, you know, MC, dog, what would you think is the keys in this game? I think the keys in this game, for both these two teams, it's gonna be the big play. It's gonna be the battlefront, the big plays, and mistakes. Nearly what you find in any football game. But you know, those are what really got the Jets beat in week 1. That's what got the Jets beat. The big plays on both sides of the ball, the negative plays, the mistakes, the interceptions, the fumbles. They turned the ball over 4 times in week 1. Which I think for the year, I think they finished with like a positive turnover ratio, which is incredible, you know? And to play up front, and you guys just saw, we can get after the quarterback. We can get after him, you know? We can get after the quarterback. We can. Sorry, you know, we can get after the quarterback, man. So I think those are really the keys to this game. And yeah, this is not going to really sound like the greatest video, but you know, hopefully, you know, the wild card game is going to sound a lot better. You know, in episode 19, which will be coming to you probably the day after this episode gets uploaded. You'll get the next one. You know, hopefully I get to upload, you know, maybe 5 to 6 times or 5 to 7 times a week. You know, maybe at times, maybe some days, double uploads, triple uploads. You know, to just get stuff out there. You know, for you guys to enjoy. You know, and by the way, I want to thank you guys. Take some time to thank you guys real quick. You know, on one of my videos, in 3 weeks, in 3 weeks, it picked up 55 views in 3 weeks. And I know that's not a lot. And I know at times I watch my own video, but that's a lot. That's actually a lot for me, you know. It's just 55 in that short period of time is just incredible. You know, for a channel that doesn't really have many subscribers. So I like to say thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. You know, and that was only in 3 weeks, which is incredible. You know, nearly in a month, which is wild to me. You know, this video is nearly at its end. You know, Devin Singletary literally had 16 touchdowns. Now, a couple guys did not make the Pro Bowl. The only Pro Bowler on this team, from what I can tell, is Ed Oliver, who has turned himself into one of the best defensive tackles in football. The offensive line, I mean, we already reviewed this team multiple times throughout such a long period of time throughout this season, and like I said, Ed Oliver going to the Pro Bowl, and actually, AJ Espinosa will be going to the Pro Bowl as well. So they have some guys that have some accolades now, but it's playoff football. It's playoff time. I'll see you guys in episode 19. Hope you guys liked the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.